Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. It is freezing in Nashville today, so I'm wearing my fur coat. But anyways, today's video is going to be all about my journey going from medicine to sales exec in marketing technology, serving the fashion and beauty industries. It seems like there's absolutely no connection there, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how I did it and how maybe if you're looking to do something similar, how you can do that too. So my first step today is walking you through my journey. We're going to start with me growing up to set the context. Then we're going to move into college. Then we're going to move into grad school. Then we are going to move into my time in Chicago and how I grew my career thus far. And then at the very end, I have 3 tips for you if you're looking to make a similar or a transition into tech sales, you're thinking about it, I have something for you. So we'll talk about that, and that's going to be the structure of the video today. I grew up in a very traditional Jamaican household. Strict parents, high expectations, and huge dreams. It was instilled in me from a very young age that whatever you're doing, you make sure you do the best you can at it. However, in Jamaica, the best is being a doctor. That comes with a lot of prestige, a lot of clout. It's just looked upon as a really amazing profession. So me being me and having this influence, I decided I'm going to be a doctor. I decided this maybe at 6 years old, and I kept saying it to my parents. And of course, they took that and said, great, our daughter is the best and she is going to be a doctor. So they kept instilling that in me over and over. However, the things I naturally gravitated were not in the sciences and they were not in math. I was horrible at math. When I tell you I was horrible, okay? But the things that I was good at were like English. I was really good at the arts. I was great at public speaking. And another thing I gravitated to was entrepreneurship. I remember at a very young age, when my friends came over to play, instead of playing like house or something else, I said, guys, let's play business. I was heavily influenced by my grandfather because he was a businessman in Jamaica, and I saw that and I saw what came with it, and I said, oh, wouldn't that be fun? So every time there was a time to play, I wanted to play business. And of course, I was the CEO. When college arrived, I decided I wanted to do a dual degree. One degree was in music and the other was in biology. When I tell you, this was one of the hardest times of my life to this day. I was taking over 20 credits at a time. Sometimes I just didn't sleep. I was mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted. But I kept going. To make matters worse, biology did not come easy to me at all. It was along the same lines of math where it just didn't feel natural. It feels like I had to work 10 to 20 times as hard as my peers to get the same or similar results. But again, I didn't care. I had a goal and I was going to accomplish it. So I dug in my heels, I kept my GPA up, and I finished both my degrees. At the end of that process, I took the MCAT and I applied to medical school. Did I get in? Absolutely not. I did not. But I'm laughing about it now. Back then, guys, I was embarrassed. I was scared. I didn't know what my future would hold because remember, I had been thinking about being a doctor since I was 6 years old. This was embedded in my head. All of my family and friends looked at me and said, oh, Rachel, she's going to be a doctor. Why? Because it just, that's what I was going to do. And so this came as a huge blow. I just remember being like mentally crippled and just sitting there, unable to move, unable to function. It was extremely hard. After months of inactivity and feeling like a failure, I decided that if it was one thing I was not, it was a quitter. So why not shoot for the stars? Get an MD, PhD, right? If there was one thing I was interested in biology, it was parasitology. I was unnaturally good at that one thing. And I had gone to Africa while building my resume to go to medical school and saw firsthand the effects that parasites were having on underprivileged populations. And I wanted to study that in more detail. So I decided to go to grad school in Chicago. While in grad school, my mom had a stroke. My family is extremely close-knit, so if something happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. And even though I was in school and I was extremely busy, that didn't matter. I was still going to take care of her. So I was driving back and forth 2 hours for days at a time, taking care of her, making sure everything was okay at the hospital, and just really being a resource for her. It was a really hard time and I needed a way to support myself as well. So I picked up a part-time job, and thus begins the beginning of my career. I actually really started to enjoy my job. I was an assistant to a man in financial services. It reminded me of the days when I used to make my friends play business. It was fun. I was going to high rises downtown Chicago, and even on the coldest of Chicago days, if he said come in at 4 a.m. and set up the meeting room for my board meeting, I would do it because it was fun and it was the one light in my life. Eventually, I rose up the ranks to become the operations manager for his company, and I started to implement a CRM for his organization. It was my first contact with SaaS, and I saw what implementing such a software for an organization like his own, what impact it could have and how it could really affect the business and move the needle. In addition to that, he brought me along on client meetings, in his client negotiations and so forth. And I saw what vigor he had and kind of how he navigated complex situations, and it was all fascinating to me. And I just was a sponge absorbing everything. It was the greatest learning experience so early on in my career, and I'm forever grateful for it. Wherever I went, I was the go-to person for whatever SaaS platform was being used. I was just so interested in tech and the impact it could have not only on an organization, but also on client relations. And so I decided that why not give this business thing a good shot? It was giving me the most energy in my life, and medicine and what I was doing in grad school really wasn't. So I decided to take this path. It was my first time making such a groundbreaking decision, and it sure did come with a lot of backlash, but I decided to do it. It was my first big girl, move the needle, shake the house type of decision, and I did it. Building on my expertise that I had acquired of really implementing SaaS within organizations and also leading digital transformation, as well as client acquisition and management, I decided to pitch myself to a tech company, and I got hired. Now, fast forward some years later, I have been at the head and leading product transformation efforts. I've also been influential in product marketing as well as some PR every now and then. There's also been instances where I've formed large-scale partnerships as well as closed deals with enterprise organizations that are household names. It's crazy. I can't believe we're here, but we are. The thing I love most about tech, specifically working at startups, is that your voice truly matters. You're not a cog in a wheel. Your impact and the actual work you do matters on a day-to-day. We literally have whiteboarding sessions where we're bouncing around ideas, and if you have the ability to speak up and make your voice be heard, then you might look at the product in 6 to 10 months and your idea might actually be a feature. How crazy is that? And as a young person in this type of organization, it really makes you have an impact that you probably wouldn't have otherwise. And that is my favorite thing. It kind of reminds me of the sciences, kind of going in the lab, bouncing around ideas, having a hypothesis, testing it, and then actually making educated analysis and writing a paper and coming up with new findings. And you can do the same thing in technology. Is this the end for me? Absolutely not. Are you crazy? No. Is tech sales gonna be my career forever? No. Is this the best journey I have had so far? Absolutely. I'm very happy with this journey. Now, it's time for you guys and my tips, my 3 tips. Are you ready? The first tip I have is be confident. If you have been through the sciences, if you are a biology girl or guy and you went through the fire, trust me, you have some of the most important skills that can be transferred to technology. What we're looking for are for people who can solve complex problems. If you've done it in biology, you can do it in tech. So please be confident about your skill set. Number 2 is absolutely trust the journey. Guys, I was so scared and it really affected my mental health horribly. If you have a path that you've been thinking about for the longest time and you have been failing, it's okay. Trust the journey. Every single thing you learn is going to be helpful for the next step. Just trust it. Trust it. Every single path I had was influential and still maybe, I'm still very young, it may be influential in the next journey I go on. I don't know, but everything I learn, I'm taking that and I'm saying, okay, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it with all of my might so that when the time comes, I can use these skills. The third tip I have is that your story is important. It may not look like the connection is crystal clear, but what you really need to do is analyze your skill set, put it against some of these tech jobs that are there, and really look at it. Be able to tell your story, tell how the connection can happen. It doesn't have to be the exact same on paper, but if you can articulate your story, that is the most important thing that you can do. It was on my heart to tell this story. I don't know who out there needs to hear this, but the shame associated with perceived failure is so strong, especially for people who are high achievers. If this is you, I see you, I empathize, but know that the journey isn't linear. It's twisting and turning, but just follow it. It's okay. It's okay. It's all gonna be okay. And you will find your path. I promise you, if you go into every situation and you try your best and you take and learn from each situation, it will all be worth it. I absolutely 100% promise. If there's anything about my journey that I didn't explain well, or maybe you want more information on, let me know. And if I can make another video to help, please let me know. But know that you're gonna be okay, guys. You're gonna be okay. I know it's hard. You're gonna be okay. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, you guys.